Joel Benenson, founder and CEO of the Benenson Strategy Group, is one of the leading political and corporate strategists in the world. Joel led the award-winning research and polling programs for President Obama's remarkable 2008 campaign and did it all again for his 2012 re-election. Joel has the accolade as the only Democratic pollster in history to have played a leading role in 3 winning presidential campaigns. Not a bad track record. A trusted advisor to presidents, global CEOs, political leaders across the globe. Well, Joel, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you're sort of a master of the art of both the science strategy and political strategy in business as well. What advice would you say brands need to take before they consider venturing into that whole political arena that you know too well?
Well, I think brands, and this is not a blanket statement, I think some brands do a better job of really engaging the voices of consumers to understand what they're bringing to the table. I'll give you a political mantra that I've used for presidential campaigns because it's relevant here, right? And I've worked on 5 different presidential campaigns in my career and been successful most of the time. But I always say to the candidates, presidential campaigns are about big things, not small things. They're about the future, not the past, and they're about their lives, not your life. And that doesn't mean your bio or your brand image doesn't matter. But if you are not going deeper into how those moments where you're thinking of engaging are really being lived out by your audiences that you're trying to reach, and you have multiple audiences in the world of corporate branding, you've got influencers, you've got consumers, you may have what we call sometimes switchers, people who are not brand loyalists but use your brand sometime. You have to really go deeper and give them a platform that really invites them to speak in their own voices about the issues you're thinking of engaging on. What are they bringing to the table? It is about their lives, not your position only as a company. And I think that's a very bottom-up theory. And I think that most companies rely on traditional questions and traditional tracking. I have a line when I'm coaching and teaching people at my firm, and I'm reviewing a survey with them, and they show me a question, and I say, why are you asking the question that way? And they'll often say, well, that's the way we've always asked it. And my answer is always the same. That's never a good enough answer. It may be the right answer, but if you're asking a question the same way you've always been asking, and you're in the middle of a global pandemic or race riots on the streets of America, you better think twice about whether that question you've always been asking that way is the right way to ask a question of consumers if you really want to hear and engage them with their own voices and their own emotions and their own values. Because that's when your communications get stronger, when you're connecting with what they bring to the table. And it's got to be authentic, obviously, and genuine for what you're bringing to the table. That's when it's a match that works very well on communications.
Now, we're seeing right across the world that consumers are trusting less and less sort of governments and institutions that before had ultimate trust. Is this an opportunity for brands to get into that trusted space, or is that something that really should be looked at in terms of how do you rebuild trust in governments?
Well, this is a favorite topic of mine when it comes to brands also. I've seen so many companies that love asking, do you trust this brand on a 10-point scale, 9-point scale, whatever scale it is, right? And they then queue up their top 3 boxes and feel very good about their numbers. I've done research on this because it's a topic near and dear to my heart. First of all, brands should stop thinking that trust is an attribute. It's not an attribute. Trust is about a relationship, and it's one of the most deeply emotional relationships people have with each other. And what I have found in my research, and I've tested trust across an array of categories on a 7-point scale, that if a brand is trusted at a 6 on a 7-point scale, they lose about 25% on what I call the real dividends of trust are.
Joel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure.